Greetings, everyone. I want to talk today about the upcoming full moon on August 11th. This is a supermoon and the last one of 2022. When we have a supermoon, it means the moon appears more brilliant and large in the sky than usual. And it is because the moon is in her orbit at the closest to the Earth. So she appears larger than usual. And this will be a powerful full moon because the moon will also be conjunct Saturn and in that powerful square with Uranus in the sign of Taurus next to the North Lunar Node. So this means as we look at this full moon, and let me pull up the chart for you. So you can see that we will have the full moon at 19 degrees of Aquarius, opposite the sun at 19 degrees of Leo. And again, the moon will be next to Saturn in Aquarius, squaring Uranus and the lunar nodes. Now, when the sun and moon are squaring the lunar nodes, that means this is an even more potent time in terms of our growth and evolution individually and collectively. We're called to be on a growing edge. And how you can work with that is you look at where the sun is, it is applying to the north node. So we're meant to, sun in Leo, be focused on living from our hearts and gaining clarity of Uranus about the new forms that we're meant to move into, Uranus in Taurus. As I talked about in terms of that configuration, that is a powerful combination calling us to change the forms and structures of how we live in our daily lives, of how we live in relationship with the earth. We're meant to take that Uranian energy, which is about truth and justice and clarity and cutting through illusion, to manifest that in how we're living in our day-to-day lives, Taurus. The other thing that I would highlight is that Taurus was the sign of the age that we went through around 4,000 BC to 2000 BC. This was the time before we moved into the patriarchal period, which really started with the movement into the age of Aries around 2000 BC. And then we moved into the age of Pisces, and now we're moving into the age of Aquarius. But when we were in the age of Taurus, it was the period of time where we continued to honor the energies of the sacred feminine and remembered that all of the life around us is sacred. It was really coming out of thousands of years of our carrying that awareness that we are a part of this sacred conscious web of life, and that everything around us is conscious, is sentient, is alive with that sacred energy. So as we're in this powerful configuration with Uranus in Taurus on the North Node, part of the meaning of that is calling us back into that remembrance, that reclaiming of the energy of the sacred feminine, that honoring of the sacredness of all of life, of remembering the energy of the sacred feminine, which is about that understanding of spirituality that is immanent, not transcendent. The sacred feminine is that understanding of we are in relationship with all that is and are meant to live in right relationship with each other and with the life around us. So this full moon is actively calling us back into that remembrance and that consciousness of the sacredness of all of life. So another powerful aspect of this full moon is remember that Chiron is in the sign of Aries. So part of the healing that we're meant to do in this time is to heal some of those wounds of the age of Aries that we're still caught in today. And those wounds relate to a sense of disconnection from each other, separation from the sacredness of the life around us. And when we get caught in that sense of disconnection and separation, we get caught in fear, and then we tend to act out in ways that we're trying to dominate or control or destroy each other in order to feel safe. So part of the energy of this time is a call to heal those wounds from the age of Aries. The moon being in Aquarius right next to Saturn is guiding us in how to embody that and live that and bring that in to the forms and structures of our lives, Saturn, and into a deep understanding of who we are as energy beings, Aquarius. Remember, Aquarius is that understanding that everything is energy and everything is interconnected, and that we can shape what is happening around us by remembering that we're energy beings and reclaiming our capacity to live in that higher level of consciousness that is about balance, harmony, right relationship with all that is. Now, with the moon squaring the lunar nodes, the challenge, the node that the moon is applying to is the south node in Scorpio. So again, as I've talked about in earlier videos, this is a call to moon emotionally continue to be aware of whatever is hidden in the shadows within our own lives individually and collectively. We're meant to heal. Hygeia is right there by the south node. We're meant to bring the traumas, the pain, the wounds of the past into conscious awareness so that we can heal. I do believe a lot of the destruction, the violence, the disconnection from each other, the devaluing of the earth and of each other can come from our history of trauma. When we feel wounded, we can act out of anger or fear or reactivity and perpetuate the pain of the past. This full moon is calling us to bring those wounds, to bring what's been buried beneath the surface of our consciousness, to bring what's in the depths to the light of day in order to heal. And then we are free to move energetically into these new forms, Aquarius, that are about justice and fairness, collaboration with each other, new forms of community, honoring the diversity of who we are as humanity, but also honoring the biodiversity around us and living in right relationship with all that is. This is a powerful full moon that is calling us into that awareness of the sacredness of all of life and the capacity that we have when we move into this higher consciousness of light and love to shape the unfolding of what is happening in the world around us. As we see the crises that we're surrounded by that relate to climate change, that relate to war, violence, inequity in how we relate to each other, destruction, the key is to not look for the answers outside of yourself or to look for people in positions of leadership or power to resolve those problems. Remember, as we're moving into the Aquarian age, we can't be guided by the paradigms of the past to solve the problems of the present. We need to move into these new ways of being, new ways of seeing ourselves and the world, to move into the new forms that can shape how we relate to each other, the kinds of communities that we form, the energy systems that we create, the paradigms of every aspect of our global community, medicine, education, how we relate to the environment, energy. All of those things will be reshaped by our understanding of these new Aquarian paradigms. So we need to open to the shifts that we're being called into, to open to these new paradigms. And remember, if only 1% of us on the planet opens to this higher consciousness and awakening and movement into the Aquarian paradigms, it will change the collective consciousness to guide us into this new age and into this radically new way of being. So how can you deal with the energies of this full moon in your own life, in your own specific personal ways? I would really encourage you to download your chart if you don't have it already from astro.com and look at where the lunar nodes fall in your chart. Where the south node is may be the area of life, that house, that part of your chart, where you're called to bring what's in shadow into the light of awareness. Where Uranus and the north node fall in your chart, in that house, that part of your chart, that part of your life is where you're called into clarity to move into new forms. And look at where the sun at the time of the full moon falls in your chart. In that house, it's where you're called to be more conscious of living from the heart and manifesting your own creative expression of that light and love of the cosmos moving through you. And where the moon in Aquarius is in your chart, next to Saturn, may be the area of life where it's important for you to connect with your tribe, with those who are also awakening, to be in community with them, and to be collaborating then in creating these new forms, moving into these new paradigms together. So take a moment to look at where those energies fall in your chart. So as we're moving through the profound energies of these times, and particularly this ongoing Saturn-Uranus square, we'll be in that dance with Saturn and Uranus until the end of the year. And they will actually come into the exact same degree near the beginning of October. But we are in that energy for the remaining months of 2022. And it is that call to shift our consciousness. Remember that this is a third quarter square where Uranus and Saturn began their journey in this cycle together in 1988 in alignment with the center of our galaxy, and will continue in their journey until they move into a new cycle beginning in 2032. And as I've talked about in previous videos, that will be an extraordinary new cycle of Uranus and Saturn at 27 degrees of Gemini in the sky at the upraised arm of Orion. So this journey of Uranus and Saturn is guiding us to align with Source. Remember, the beginning of the journey was at the galactic center. We're meant to align with source. And as we're now in this third quarter of the journey, it's about the challenge to look at our consciousness. This is where we are in the journey and are meant to be aware of what beliefs, what paradigms are we meant to let go of that no longer serve us as we're in this time of transition and transformation. We're meant to be preparing to move into these new paradigms and new ways of consciousness. And we're being guided by these energies of the earth and the sky. What we need to do is open to those energies, trust in these energies that are carrying us and guiding us when we awaken and open to them and come from our hearts and not try to control our circumstances through our minds or through the paradigms of the past. When we are in this shift in consciousness, we remember that everything is energy and everything is a part of this sacred, energetic web of life and of consciousness. Then we can attune to that energy of the consciousness around us, the cosmic consciousness. Then we can awaken and remember what we're capable of as humans, that we're capable of using the power of our consciousness to align with these energies of cosmic consciousness, to mobilize shifts and changes more rapidly than we can imagine. This is the key, is to allow ourselves to heal and then to awaken, to remember that we are soul selves who never die, who journey through lifetime after lifetime to learn and grow and evolve. And this is a critical moment for us in our growth and evolution. When the sun and moon are squaring the lunar nodes, we're called into a higher level of consciousness and into an awakening and an opening to the fullness of who we can be when we align with our soul selves, align with source, the center of our galaxy, and the center within us, to then live in that attunement with being in balance and in harmony with all of the energies around us and with the sacredness of all of the life around us. So as you see the turbulence in the world right now, and as you hear people talk about this dance with Uranus and Saturn, or the Uranus conjunction with Mars, as somehow disruptive or frightening or dangerous, remember to not drop into fear. Hold that higher consciousness of love and of awakening and of awareness that these energies are actually calling us into a higher level of being. They are not about disruption, destruction. That is what we can do with the energies if we disconnect from their deeper meaning and we perpetuate the traumas and pain of the past. But when we awaken to the meaning of these energies, we're guided into healing and wholeness within ourselves and a capacity to move into a radically new way of being in global community with each other. Remember the deeper meaning of Saturn, as so many people talk about Saturn as blocks or obstacles or challenges. Does it guide us to deeper wisdom through some of the encounters that we have in our lives that call us into our awakening? Absolutely. But remember that the deeper meaning of Saturn comes from that ancient pre-patriarchal understanding of Saturn as the god of the sweet waters, who guides us in how to move between the worlds. It is the wise one, the shaman, who can help us remember how we are soul selves here in an embodied experience to grow and evolve and come more fully into the wholeness of who we are and who we're capable of being. So Saturn next to the moon in Aquarius is helping us remember that we're soul selves moving through this journey on this earth plane and moving through this shift of the ages from the age of Pisces into the age of Aquarius and into this deeper understanding of being in balance and harmony with all that is. We are moving towards creating a new earth together. And this powerful full moon is guiding us to awaken, to remember who we are and what we're capable of, and to claim that empowerment within us, such that we find that center in ourselves that aligns with the center of the galaxy and of all that is, to move with the energies of this time into these new ways of being. So at the time of this amazing and beautiful full moon, take time to go out and gaze at the moon and feel that light and energy of the cosmos beaming from these energies of the full moon into your energy body. Honor these energies of the sky and of the earth that are holding us, loving us, guiding us into these new ways of being. And reach out and connect with those that you know that are also awakening and holding the energies of these new paradigms that we're moving into. As we can connect with each other in these new ways, we will remember that profound sense of interconnectedness that we have with each other and with everything around us, and open to the joy of being back in community, back in that sense of connection and unity with each other. We can live that even though there is turbulence around us and those who are still caught in disconnection and despair or patterns of destruction. We can choose to live in that higher consciousness and emanate it and experience it with each other and support each other in that. And again, if only 1% of us are doing that, we have the capacity to change the world. May we support each other in that and move into this new earth in the way that we're capable of as we move into this higher consciousness. Blessed be.